Hello, everybody, and welcome to our review of Saturday night's main event. I am John Pollock alongside Wai Ting.
Hey, John, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I just went to the Knicks championship parade. It was awesome. I had a great time.
Yeah. I kind of felt like that.
Why didn't the Raptors get this kind of treatment in 2019? Why didn't we get like the last 20 minutes of a WWE special just dedicated to Kawhi Leonard coming out saying nothing, and just they could have done this all down the street at the Scotiabank.
You know what though? It's just it's just something special about New York, isn't there?
There is something about New York. Well, we got a lot of Knicks representation on this show. A wonderful ad for Fanatics Fest. I mean, seems like the place to be this weekend. Fanatics Fest.
Certainly more so than Albany, which I thought was not a great addition to SmackDown.
Yeah, unless you were on the Americans or that's about all that checked in for SmackDown. And of course, Wai and Neil as well.
Of course.
You guys
yes.
got through SmackDown. Well, tonight we're going to talk about WWE's return to Madison Square Garden, which kind of served as, 2 hours for them to at least focus on two of their major matches for SummerSlam with the two respective championship matches. I thought overall they did a pretty effective job just in terms of the main events for the shows, just of trying to really push them here on this show as well. So not a number that they gave on the broadcast was 15,361. The WrestleTix number was 13,500. Which is down from March on the lead up to WrestleMania when they did almost 19,000 here for an episode of Raw. But fear not, Michael Cole called it a capacity crowd. So I have not seen the building blueprint, but apparently they have taken out 5,000 seats out of Madison Square Garden since March because it's capacity now.
Okay. I mean, who's fact checking other than you? I guess.
I'm just asking. I just want to know the size of
I'm
the
just
venue.
saying they can get away with making bullshit up like this because who's going to really
40,000 people in this newly constructed Madison Square Garden. Did you see the pre-show?
No. Are you kidding me?
Oh, okay. Well,
what did I miss? Tell me.
This is pretty important. Okay.
Okay.
We had Joe Tessitore and Stephanie McMahon welcoming us and just talking, and we finally got the match after all this time. Non-title, Trick Williams against Laredo Kid.
Oh, they had an actual match?
Yes.
Oh, my God. Since when did they start doing matches on these kickoffs? Or
Since
pre-shows?
this afternoon when they announced this cold. And
okay.
I just... it makes perfect sense. Okay, we want Trick Williams on this show. But it was let's do a non-title match with, Laredo Kid. What a random pick.
Certainly. Was it a good match? Was it impressive? Was there a particular reason why Laredo Kid, felt like he was chosen for this?
This is the kind of match where you appreciate big men that can base for a lot of these lucha stars. Trick is not at that level, and that certainly came through early on. Now, he was over to this capacity crowd, as Cole reminded us, and I'm disappointed you missed on the pre-show, not just this non-title grudge bout, you also missed your favorite part of WWE's latest technical issues, over-modulated Wade Barrett on this first match as well.
Some of that.
Get that. Okay. So Trick did this deadlift vertical and then nearly lost him and had to lift him up again. And Laredo Kid goes for this corkscrew off of the bottom buckle and then just does it again. And the PK from Laredo Kid misses, so Trick hits a neck breaker, flapjack, the bookend gets countered, and then Laredo Kid leaps off the post for a somersault dive to the floor, misses with another corkscrew, and just gets hit with the trick shot. Crowd did pop for Trick Williams, but I did not think this was any kind of a match that if you missed, you would be kicking yourself like I'm sure Wai Ting is. But there you have it. Non-title match, and I don't think Laredo Kid is now going to move up into that U.S. championship scene. But they did plug Laredo Kid. First they said will not be on AAA tonight, and then Michael Cole corrected himself saying, actually, he is in a qualifier tonight on AAA.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
All right.
Really important stuff here on the pre-show.
I mean, this was what, like a 4-match show with one like talking segment to end it. I could see them maybe wanting to like just put one more thing out there for the audience to let them feel like they got a little bit more of their money's worth by the end.
Yeah, well, this was. I'm sure they looked at that price ticket at the end of the night and they're like, you know what, we did get Laredo Kid on this show. They showed this was great. Over the last day or two, they're promoting Danhausen's Uncursing Parade that was going to take place in New York City. And I guess this was a rain or shine parade because they showed the saddest highlights of this where he's going around with an umbrella. And he's just going up to like unsuspecting fans that didn't quite know what the deal was. Our truth is involved here. I mean, this was this was great. It looked like the saddest thing. There's also going to be something called the SummerSlam Kickoff tomorrow at 1:30 Eastern, airing on ESPN2 from Fanatics Fest. So they did say there will be news coming out of this show. So maybe a match announcement, maybe some angles they will shoot on ESPN2 tomorrow. And then that's not all. We're still on the pre-show. Stephanie McMahon brings out Oba Femi for an interview in the ring to talk about Hell in a Cell. He states he is miles ahead of Brock in the mental game because he lives inside of Brock's head. And then he goes through all of his different catchphrases, also noting he is the king of the ring. How could we ever forget that he is the king of the ring winner? And then we go into the main show.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that recap.
The opening video package focuses on past moments in Madison Square Garden history, not just from WWE, but other sports highlights. The Knicks winning the finals last month, and you knew that the Knicks would be all over this show. And we see Jalen Brunson arriving earlier in the day, among others, and then Joe Tessitore and Stephanie the Body Ventura by his side.
She's back.
Who's back?
Stephanie.
Oh, Stephanie's back. Yeah, I thought you were saying, but yeah, she's just replaced Jesse now in this role. So I guess Jesse is not coming back.
She hasn't been back in a while.
Yeah, he's just waiting for that call. I don't think that call's coming anytime soon. We start off with the tag match. It is Brie Bella and Paige defending the women's tag titles against Fallon Henley and Lainey Reid. So early on, they're double teaming Henley, and then Paige's throat gets snapped on the top rope into a wheelbarrow by Reid. Paige ends up working her way out of the heel corner, making the tag to Brie, and in comes Brie. She's delivering yes kicks. We get the Brie mode knees to both women, and then a missile drop kick before she goes for the yes lock. And Paige nails JC Jane, who gets involved on the apron, and Henley goes after Paige's neck and hits her with a German. Reid then misses a moonsault after Brie pulls Paige out of the way, and JC distracts the referee yet again as Fallon Henley blindsides Paige with a clothesline, and somewhere in this striking, Henley got busted up in the mouth. Brie stops a tug of war with Lainey Reid as she knocks Henley from the floor, but in this breakup, it leads to Paige going for an O'Connor roll, and JC Jane gets onto the apron and right in front of the ref just flips them over, and Jessica Carr just keeps counting and pins her as she grabs Paige's trunks for leverage, and we have new tag team champions, Fatal Influence.
I guess I didn't really notice how much the ref may have seen.
It was
the actual finish. It was
pretty glaring. Bad? I mean, she was like looking straight ahead as JC has to hop up onto the apron. So, I mean, new tag team champions, I guess. This concludes like a very flat title reign for these two, where the peak was Paige is back, and the storyline was Paige is back, and that ends the title reign.
Yeah. I mean, they've certainly held these titles for way too long. That nostalgia pop for Mania has long lost its freshness. But I can also say, like, I think Brie's, like, certainly worked hard to try to get to the best version of herself that I think she can for this run. They gave her and Paige way more ring time than I expected. And in all of like her appearances, I would say she's rarely botched, which is very different from I think the last time we've seen her. So it's, to me, it's a sign of her at like taking this seriously enough that she is trying to pull all of this off as to the best of her ability, which is still a very far cry from the modern standard. But I can at least say that like she's sort of over exceeded my expectations. Paige also, in contrast, somehow seems like, in AEW, I thought she was like somewhat subpar, like compared to like the roster, but in WWE, I thought she's looked perfectly fine here. In fact, I feel like there's a lot potential in her having some sort of singles runs, with like this new generation, because she's shown that she can still do a whole lot in ring. So, the reign has not been good, but in some ways, I think they've still managed to exceed my expectations. Now, I think like, I was really impressed with Reid and Henley here. Both of them were very smooth in ring. Individually, I think both are impressive, and I see star potential in them both, especially Fallon and Henley. So I think they're always the obvious choice to end this title reign, and I hope they have a really strong long run because they're one of the few, actual tag teams really like in the division. And I also like that Jane received the credit for the finish here because she did take that loss to Stratton last night. So
you would think we probably get the Freebird rule among these three.
Maybe, but I almost feel like that shouldn't be JC Jane's lane, Like
what is her lane right now?
She should be a title contender. She should be in that ladder match for some
she's not, though.
Inexplicable reason they didn't put her there. And maybe they have like, I don't know, later plans for her. Maybe they think she's too young. We can't possibly like, push somebody this early. They have to like, sit on the roster taking pins for like 3 years until she gets to 40, and then we can push her.
Maybe they realized how young Paige was and like, get this belt off her.
Perhaps, yeah. It's pretty like startling when you consider like Paige is 33, which is like Fallon Henley's only 31, and like Paige feels like she's been here like a lifetime, versus somebody like who's a newcomer. So,
who are our tag teams? Like we have Lash and Nia, which are a heel team that don't really fit.
B-Fab and Michin,
more heels.
More heels, I guess. On the babyface side,
they broke up Bayley and Lyra.
Judgment Day, more heels, yep. And then trying to think.
Like their only option is to, I guess, continue this or Nikki's return and they feud with Brie. Like where do you see?
I don't see this being on SummerSlam. Like maybe on SmackDown before SummerSlam, but yeah, like what are the babyface teams? I guess Chelsea and Stratton, but Stratton's in the ladder
Stratton's
match.
tied up.
But they could still like do stuff on SmackDown. Again, I because they had this match here, I don't necessarily see them like defending it on SummerSlam.
I like this group as champions. It's just you don't have a division, but that's a broken record about these titles. I mean,
yeah.
Could you imagine if they hadn't brought up Fatal Influence? Like, what would this title reign have even been? It just seems to be one that they really coasted on. Well, Paige is back, and I can't even necessarily say like you can blame this on Nikki's injury. Like it's. What would the plan have been if Brie and Nikki had won at? It probably would have been very similar to this, just sub out Paige for Nikki.
Perhaps, yeah. I don't know, hard to say. I mean, I think they've always struggled with this division, and it's always certainly taken a backseat to the other title programs on the show. They've never really shown that they are capable of really taking it seriously, but at the very least, if you're going to have the prop of a championship, putting them on like an up-and-coming team like Fatal Influence, it, to me, at least adds some benefit to it.
Backstage, Kathy Kelly interviews Sami Zayn. He says, I don't want to call myself a victim, but what's happened to me has been egregious. And he said, it's nice that Punk and Cody, to get another title match, all they had to do was say when, whereas I had to smash my head against a glass ceiling for over 10 years. And Gunther walks in and warns Sami to stay out of his way tonight and don't ruin SummerSlam for me. So can they get along? That will be the big question. The stars
Sami's
were
just kind of back to being his like complaining heel character, certainly like coming off of Night of Champions, coming off of whatever sort of online feeling there might have been, stemming from his title reign,
which really didn't.
You felt zero of that here. He was just kind of back to, like this was a crowd that was firmly behind Cody and CM Punk as baby faces. They didn't really seem to like offer any sort of like, desire for Sami to even,
these crowds see Punk as like the champion. It's like, okay, they all love Punk. Like he's super over, and it's not like this revolt from the audience. Like I sense it was very in the moment that, he got a 9-day reign, but they moved on. And I think that's that's where he is. He'll be very entertaining in this role, but this is the role he is in at the moment, and sort of feels iced out of SummerSlam beyond if they shoot some new angle with him, because it would seem like all the dance partners are paired up now for SummerSlam.
Yeah, which is not maybe what you would have said originally, like, I mean, weeks ago, just maybe seeing how much online attention that his title reign received. But maybe a bit of a reminder that, like, hey, like, that could possibly just be a very vocal online minority that feels that way. Certainly in New York tonight, he did not feel like any sort of focus on the show. Of course, that could change, right? Like, they just have to put him into a storyline, give him the airtime in order for him to get over and hot enough again that audiences will react differently to him. But for the time being right now, like, whatever sort of like momentum they might have built off of like that 9-day run doesn't really seem to be sort of like used or attempted to sort of like turn into anything else here.
Maybe they missed an opportunity with the latest Jackass release.
Certainly, yeah, that rematch.
They showed multiple athletes and celebrities throughout the night. Terrence Crawford was here, a streamer named Neon, O'Shea Jackson was there, Trick Williams.
This being like, I guess, I don't know, like in a bigger market in MSG on broadcast, like it had the vibe of like, their Netflix debut, had the vibe of like any of these sort of like celebrity outreach types of shows where
Where was Bert Kreischer? Couldn't make it?
I don't know. Is he a New Yorker?
No, he's just
there you
Netflix.
Go. They got Jeff Ross.
They did get Jeff Ross,
yeah,
who was identified by Michael Cole as funny guy.
Yeah.
Funny guy, Jeff Ross.
Yeah, it was like, yeah, anyway. Yeah, it had that type of vibe pretty much whole show.
Then we had WWE Studio Housens presenting The Curse Father, a Godfather parody of the Danhausen New York Knicks story, and then into the lead up to Danhausen and JD McDonagh. And then we would cut to a Danhausen blimp inside of the arena. Now, by the end of this show, I had this thought that I wonder how much of this event was the idea, hey, we're in New York, let's really capitalize off this very organic crossover we had through Danhausen and the Knicks, and we do something really cool with the Knicks and Jalen Brunson with Danhausen, before they realized, wait a minute, this could be really big. This is way too big for Danhausen. How can we get Roman Reigns to suddenly be Jalen Brunson's best friend? And it was like Roman Reigns got to do the victory lap for all this like crossover work that Danhausen did throughout the playoffs.
I certainly wondered that myself. I mean,
it's almost like it felt like this is too big to just be wasted on Danhausen. Like he got like really all the Knicks stuff. Like there was nothing of the Knicks. Be like you guys can have the jersey to fight over. The stars though, they will be utilized. Well, I guess we got the big reveal at the end of this, so he got a consolation Nick.
Yeah. Just knowing how this company thinks, none of that really surprises me. Like they want the biggest star attached to their biggest star for these photo ops. Like this whole main event that we're about to talk about tonight.
Oh, yeah, it was
a photo session.
That is what it was. It was like let's get this splashed over ESPN, and hopefully like it promotes our SummerSlam main event. But it's our number one star attached to the number one athlete in the NBA and one of the top athletes period at the moment.
And, of course, there's an argument to be made that that's more beneficial, having Roman, be seen, who's the headliner of your SummerSlam event and multiple other events, versus like having Danhausen there, which would be like a sort of nice little novelty, but doesn't really do that much for your overall business. Right?
But it's like all the promotional material, like it was Danhausen, like was front and center on all the advertising. It was like, join the uncursed. July 18th. Like this was the Danhausen event at Madison Square Garden that they promoted this as. So
again, like, maybe you can look at that as like, who would have thought Danhausen would be this guy at the beginning of this year, right? Like he's already way overachieved anybody's expectations.
He's been a great addition, and I'm sure there's some that feel he's overexposed on WWE programming, but to me, he's never been like to the detriment of the program that they've gone so hard on it that it stops being the fun joke when you're shoving it down people's throat. I don't feel they've crossed that line. It's like this guy is in his own lane with his own people. It's not like he's bringing people down to a level. It's, I think they've handled him generally well, and he's been a massive merch mover, and you could not have predicted all the Knicks stuff that gained him so much attention and getting into like all over ESPN. I'm sure ESPN, they just love this guy. I'm sure. So,
yeah.
I mean, in that case, like this guy had served a function that nobody else is fulfilling in that kind of a role in WWE. Judgment Day is interviewed by Jackie Redmond, and so that takes us to the no DQ match with McDonagh and Danhausen. Danhausen, one of several performers in the colors of the Knicks, while Dominic is in the corner and has the Knicks jersey. So we get Let's Go Knicks chants as JD is just beating on him, getting the heat. Dominic, they zoom in as he wipes his shoes with the Knicks jersey, and this crowd is just livid.
Great reaction.
JD hits him with a brain buster, then misses a moonsault, and Danhausen puts the jersey on to a big pop and fights off both Dominic and Danhausen. He hulks up with the jersey, hits a stun dog millionaire that Cole didn't know how to call. And so Dominic attacks from behind. It's no DQ, so they cannot, it's 2-on-1, and they rip the jersey off, and the fans are furious. And Dominic and JD pull out a table that features a mini-Hausen on top of the table. And then we get three, we're going to go with Michael Cole's terminology, little guys. Three little mini-Hausens who all attack JD and Dominic.
Last time he did say midgets because he says that's what they prefer to be called, is what Cole claimed, right? Was that
the last time, right? Yes. He made that big defiant announcement. That's what they prefer to be called. Yes. Right.
So I guess
but I guess Michael Cole lost that battle.
They don't prefer it anymore.
Little guys. Maybe. Little guys. I don't know. Which would you rather be called? Hey, little guy?
I can't say. I don't know.
Little guy?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I don't belong to that group.
Okay. I'm just saying. So they beat up Dominic and JD, and I was like, if this is the payoff to this match, but Danhausen is by the entrance, and he takes the stuffed cat from SmackDown and places it into the cloning machine
with the Knicks jersey.
Yep. And out comes Karl-Anthony Towns, and this crowd, it's
cat.
like cat. Yeah, that's goddamn, that's clever shit. It's cat and guy's cat. And out he comes, giant pop, and this guy.
They give him the Andre shot. Like,
oh my god, he just towers over everyone.
Yeah.
He comes in, choke slams JD, then he choke slams Dom through a table. He's putting a curse on them, and then it's the triple D by Danhausen to pin JD and Karl-Anthony Towns, Danhausen, and the three little guys all posed together. Now, I don't give a shit about Roman Reigns and Jalen Brunson holding up the trophy and the belt. This is the photo op. This is the photo you really want on SportsCenter.
Of the two Knicks integrations, this was the way more fun one, at least to me, like maybe somebody who doesn't live in New York. Like I don't even know who this cat dude is, but I thought like it was just, it was just fun, and I thought this match was everything it promised to be and needed to be. Like you're not expecting like great bell-to-bell action when you're promoting a Danhausen match, but what you are expecting is maybe like a big sort of like cursing spot, and you're just expecting some fun sort of like surprises, and they delivered that in this form. This crowd certainly reacted really well. I thought the choke slams from Cat looked really strong as well. So
I'm surprised they allowed him to do it, but I guess they've done physicality with
Brunson also
the basketball players.
Brunson also wouldn't have been able to do any physicality, I imagine, with the wrist injury. So maybe that was another reason.
A good point. Yeah. So, I mean, it all depends. If you were into this, cool. It certainly worked for the crowd. And I don't know what your expectation of this match would have been beyond this kind of a payoff at the end with one of the Knicks showing up. And like, is this the culmination of the cloning machine after all these weeks?
No, because there's like a body that's still under the covers, right?
Okay.
They've sort of infrequently mentioned.
So that's the continued mystery. Who's this corpse underneath?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Kathy is with Lyra Valkyria. She mentions, last time we were in this building, we were wrestling for the tag titles, and she wanted to be proud of how she made it to the top and wonders who she could have been if Bayley had been the type of person I thought she was. And Kathy says, well, Bayley might be out of her head, but I think Lyra's out of her mind.
That's not very nice to say.
Yeah. How about
some issues?
How about our timing on the comparisons on Monday to the Pigeon Lady from Home Alone? And
what's the timing? What do you mean? What happened?
She passed away the other day.
Whoa, really?
Yes.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yes.
To hear that.
I didn't know she was still alive. She was
Brenda Fricker.
Yes.
81.
Well-known Irish actress.
Oscar-winning Irish actress.
Yes.
Oh.
So Kathy, does the interview with Lyra. Who do we see here? Michael Rubin, the man who started this pop culture phenomenon that is Fanatics Fest. Lin-Manuel Miranda, funny guy Jeff Ross, and Cooper DeJean. This was the guy that was aligned with Nikki, rumored to be with Nikki. Remember?
Okay.
But so I think that ship has sailed.
Okay. Well, yeah, such is life.
He also got booed. Then Jackie interviews Bayley, and she tried to give Lyra grace, but I'm different. I think different, and I will end Lyra before she gets started. And nearly did end her before this match got started.
Oh, yeah.
We got new music for Lyra. She comes out. This is, generic heel music instead of generic babyface music.
It's kind of like based off of her old theme, but with a bit more sort of like electronic
horror.
Yeah, like I don't know, like somehow like she can't afford a shower, she can't afford new clothes, but somehow was able to afford.
She can afford needles and pills. She needs a new render here for these graphics.
Oh yeah, way outdated.
This needs to move on. So the early portion of this match, Bayley yanks her underneath on the apron and lands this forearm. Apparently, Bayley got ready for this match by watching Brock and Randy and just opens up her nose. And you see this by Lyra just kneeling on the floor, and you just see this blood pouring onto the mat. And they made sure to replay this in slow motion multiple times for all of us to see that Bayley just probably broke her nose. And Lyra, to her credit, like just continued onward here. Like obviously they had a lot planned for this match. They had a post-match angle set up. So the idea of this getting waved off, I know what Lyra was thinking. I mean, we can only have one non-start to an Irish competitor this month. I've got to power through and continue this one. So,
that or they're thinking, how is this match going to come across when Lyra's face is blurred on Peacock? You are.
I hope this Netflix. This would just be Bayley fighting like a blurred image for 13 minutes. I will just say this: I will never wish an injury upon somebody, but and hear me out here. Lyra getting a broken nose,
it's perfect.
That face mask. I mean, if ever there was an injury that's like a broken nose is not going to derail your career. You're basically going like. There is a silver lining if she has broken her nose and has to wear a mask on television. Like, I would not be taking time off. This could be something that it at least enhances this character a little and sends her further into the deep end.
Oh my God. The silver lining was in this match, dude. Like this blood happening was the best thing that could have happened to this match tonight. But you can see they pretty much did everything they could to nullify its effects. They paused. They had him off camera, wiping the blood off
the towel was out. I mean,
paused the action. We're kind of back to, like they didn't stop the match or anything. Like they didn't completely stop it, but like they're certainly a lot more sensitive to it now than they may have been like even in previous.
Well, they know Netflix is now out. It's like, Jesus, we can't even show our merchandise now on Netflix. So, I mean, not that this is on Netflix, but maybe that's the mentality.
Do we know that it's a Netflix call?
Which the blood?
Yeah, like the blurring of the face.
I mean, we haven't seen that on other platforms that they're on. Like, we haven't seen that example on ESPN. I doubt we're going to see it here on Peacock. So it would seem like it's specific to Netflix if that's the only place we're seeing all this censoring and such. But I did feel like the involvement of the ref and checking on her, like I did think it affected like the crowd that, they did struggle heat-wise during this, but they like just powered through this. And, for the potential of a broken nose, I was very impressed with Lyra just continuing here, because she just like doesn't need any time to check. She's just right back into the match. Lyra gets suplexed off the apron. This is where the ref is checking on her, and Lyra just storms at Bayley, and the ref's got his towel out. Bayley hits this crazy suicide dive under the middle rope, and Lyra gets out of a Boston Crab, hits her guillotine leg drop off the top, and then a sunset flip sends Lyra into the corner. Rose Plant is avoided, and Bayley puts on a crossface, and they emphasize putting the forearm right around the nose. And
the bank statement.
The bank statement, I guess we had here, and another Sasha spot later on as well, a callback to their match in New York, but not as smooth when she went to kick off the bottom rope. She needed a couple tries to do that one. So she loses her from the crossface. Nightwing is stopped, and then a Bayley to belly is blocked, and Lyra puts on her new bulldog choke, and Bayley is like foaming at the mouth, or at least trying her best to, and goes out cold, and Lyra wins. Continues the attack by tossing her into the post, reapplies the bulldog choke, and then a Nightwing onto the steps. So just the brutalization of Bayley. At the end of this, a new finisher for Lyra. I think, honestly, like this was... I look at this as a positive for Lyra. Like this was, it's unfortunate you got your nose busted, but this was the best possible outcome for this character. And it was at least something for Lyra, who is sort of just, I think, needed something that would, put some emphasis on her. And this seems to at least be the start of the attempt to do that.
Yeah. I mean, I think like, with the character rebrand that she's been putting so much effort into, it wouldn't have made sense for her to lose. I think the match ultimately for me was just kind of okay. Like I couldn't help but think about the great potential it could have gotten to if they took more advantage of the blood. We think about like the great sort of like AEW performances involving women and those bloody scenes that like made Britt Baker, at one time. This might have achieved some level of that. I mean, they weren't given the time, they weren't given the sort of leeway to use weapons and whatnot, but that level of like seriousness really would have like fit perfectly with the type of like intensity and personal grudge that they were building to with this particular feud. So I just can't help but like wonder, hey, like if they didn't have these sort of policies, what this could have been. I think there's a better match between them. The action to me didn't get to such a high level by the end. But I do love them using the opportunity to debut a new finish for Lyra. In terms of reactions, I thought it was kind of mild. I think
I didn't think the crowd was into this much. Like maybe a bit in the post match. I more so look at this as a win for like the Lyra character and what you get coming out of this. That I hope they can, integrate and that Lyra can catch some momentum coming out of this.
Yeah, she's certainly, I think, like catching people's attention, and I think she's making people talk about like what is a pretty bold character shift. I do think it could use a lot more time to like be workshopped, and they're not going to really have that luxury because they're putting this right onto TV. I think like to me the look needs to be a little bit more consistent. Like she's still wrestling in her like Lyra Valkyria like gear. I think like she needs to overhaul like almost everything. I think like the promo can use a bit more development. Right now it just kind of feels like bad acting to me without like and bad acting can work in wrestling, but it still needs to feel a bit more like over the top if you're going for that, or just like a bit more sort of like memorable and appealing in some way. I think she could just develop it a little bit more, but they're certainly on a path, and they certainly seem to be committed to what you would assume to be another rematch with Bayley and Lyra here.
Yeah, I mean this does feel like a at least temporary write out of Bayley. She shouldn't be just jumping back into things like on Raw Monday, you would think.
But it wasn't that big of a spot. It was like Nightwing onto steel steps.
Well,
right?
Maybe a week.
Like, do you see SummerSlam for these two, or no?
I guess. Like, what are we expecting? Like 6 matches per night, 7 matches per night?
Probably 6.
6. Yeah. So you have 12 matches. So I don't know if this makes the cut at 12. Maybe Raw the next night. Lyra, okay, then we got, this is maybe the most noteworthy thing on the show, just news-wise, is next April, still dates to be determined for WrestleMania. No dates known. They are going to do watch parties at the Infosys Theater, which is adjacent to Madison Square Garden. So you will get to watch WrestleMania 43 at the Infosys Theater, and then each night, they're going to do a live show afterwards. One night will be NXT Stand and Deliver. The other will be a AAA Eternal Glory show. So you could sit through WrestleMania and then watch a whole show right afterward, as will viewers at home be able to do that same option.
So this is WrestleMania in the afternoon, right? Because
yes, this is afternoon WrestleMania followed by an evening show from these two.
Okay. Yeah.
And they're putting Stand and Deliver back on Mania weekend, which maybe they got that maybe they are realizing that taking the show away from that weekend, it did kind of hurt the luster of Stand and Deliver. But I guess Stand and Deliver, it would air on CW right afterwards as well, because they do have that agreement in place for all their events.
Yeah. I mean, maybe some of this is just to simply take advantage of, like, the buzz surrounding the weekend for their company and putting it towards like their sort of like B-level, B-tier promotions. I also wonder how much of this is them like sort of marking their territory in the event that like an AEW might also decide to like, do something that particular weekend.
I don't think they'll do that weekend. Like, I think regardless of this being booked here, I don't think they would ever plan their event for Mania weekend itself. I just think it would be handicapping yourself, I feel.
Yeah. I mean, but there is certainly that demand from an audience, like for them to, put something either in the vicinity of the time or certainly close to it.
What if AEW does like the weekend before this, and now you've made your AAA and NXT shows? Like, what do you have to combat those weekends? Do you just create more shows?
Maybe you move the shows.
Well, TNA.
Yeah. Maybe you separate Stand and then you do Deliver.
Oh, that's perfect.
Right.
One night one Stand, next two is Deliver. Kathy interviews Punk and Cody. Cody says, "We've been waiting for this match for years." I assume he means the singles match with Punk and not this tag match. And Punk says it's not personal. We want this to be one-on-one. And then Cody asks, well, who's going out for, or Punk asks who's going out first. And Cody ends up going out first. So will they coexist is what Cody asks.
Taking a very sort of like friendly, like they're at stage one of like this rivalry where they're still very friendly and almost kind of like cute with each other before, I guess, like things get a little bit more heated.
Look at this. This is like two dads going out like to a Halloween party.
Yeah, sure. Mm-hmm.
Punk and Cody against Gunther and Sami Zayn. Brawl breaks out right at the beginning. Punk also in Knicks colors. And Gunther takes Punk and just drops this guy onto the barricade. That looked fun for a 48-year-old. Cody helps him back in, and Punk is cut on the bridge of the nose. The best line of the whole night. Cody starts doing the Dusty-style jabs, and Michael Cole says, "Making Zuffa boxing proud."
All right.
Yes. The boxing gods are looking down on Cody and saying, "Hey, baby, beautiful." So Cody cutter onto Gunther for a 2 count, and Zayn does the same roll up on Cody, how he won the title, but with the kick out. This match is very fast paced. Mm-hmm. Zayn misses a haluva. Punk is in Anaconda Vice onto Zayn, paying his tributes to Tenzan, and who's going to face Kojima in his retirement. If ever there was a time for Punk to lock on that Anaconda Vice and then yell, "Kojima!"
Uh-huh.
I hope we get that spot somewhere before August 16th. So we have double submissions. As Zayn is in the Anaconda Vice, Cody puts Gunther in a figure 4, but Gunther reaches over, raking the eyes of Punk, which would cause this man temporary blindness for the remainder of the match. This was a hell of an eye gouge by Gunther. Zayn attacks Cody and breaks up both submissions. The haluva kick is hit onto Punk. Cody hits the crossroads, but then gets taken out by Gunther. Punk hits a GTS on Gunther. All 4 are down, and the crowd's going wild. They're chanting, "This is awesome." Gunther then sends Punk and knocks him into Cody in the apron, puts on the sleeper, and Punk powers up to his feet, tags Cody, and it's Cody with a crossroads to Gunther. Zayn with the tackle, but in tackling them to break up the cover, Charles Robinson is somehow killed in the pileup. There's a GTS on Zayn, and Zayn is double teamed by Cody and by Punk. And as Cody goes for a disaster kick, he misses the target and accidentally hits Punk. So they're teasing all this miscommunication between Cody and Punk and whether these two are going to end up coming to blows. But Gunther grabs the belt, clocks Cody, powerbombs Cody, and we get this other ref sprinting into this ring, and he nearly clears the ring coming in. And as he counts to, Nick Aldis just poof shows up out of nowhere and pulls out the referee, stopping the count and thus screwing Gunther. And then Aldis blasts Gunther with the belt. Punk hits a GTS, places Cody on top of Gunther, and Gunther takes the fall. And we have a singles match at SummerSlam, and almost assuredly Gunther and Nick Aldis, you would think, that they are going toward, and probably Aldis being fired or suspended as GM of SmackDown.
Yeah, with Aldis, I guess, retaliating in this way and like going as far as like using a belt to attack Gunther, costing him the match. I mean, it really does signal like his entry into like the sort of realm of like active participant and not just a bystander, not just a civilian. Now he's somebody who, you know, like this is the type of build you have for somebody who's going to be wrestling. So that seems to confirm that, like in my opinion. And as far as the match goes, I thought it was a great match, great pace, you know, great reactions from this crowd, and I thought like a strong,
really
finish.
fast-paced style. You had like the crowd took it was like 4 stars. I mean, like 4 individual stars, and just they
Don't go predicting Dave's ratings without.
I need
deep research,
the linear
okay?
regression model before I assign a rating to this match. But it was really entertaining, and they did a lot of like cross-up spots and I honestly think the stipulation did add something to it, because you very well could have seen them just go in the 4-way route here. Although this is probably the outcome more people expected. They've just pushed this Gunther Aldis direction so hard. The only question coming out of this is Zayn's role at SummerSlam, because he feels like odd man out.
Yeah, for the moment. I mean, I have faith that like, you know, they'll have something with him, you know, at least like maybe a segment or something. Maybe his moment will just be complaining about.
He should be booked on the pre-show. I mean, that would be great for
Laredo Kid. What are you up to?
Laredo Kid, I love it.
You know, as far as like Cody and Punk goes, they of course they had a bunch of like friendly fire spots, but again, not really raising the tensions that high, keeping it at, I would say, like, you know, like a what do you want to call it, like 3 out of 10 maybe by the end of the match.
Yeah, we get the two standing in the ring together, and Punk kind of nonchalantly flicks his belt and nails Cody, not hard, but it flicks him in the face, and Cody is annoyed by this, and Punk is oblivious to this little slight. It was a nice little spot. I kind of wish this one did have a little. Well, they have 2 weeks. They have 2 weeks to really hammer this one home. But yeah. So
I thought it'd be like certainly like driven to maybe a little bit of a higher intensity, but they're taking this at a slower pace, which I don't mind. It also maybe spells that like SummerSlam may not be the end of the program. Like they could build a rematch, like, you know, right afterwards. So maybe still entering SummerSlam on like, you know, more of a friendly, like double babyface type of like mutual respect type of thing. But
and then will one of them get the belt and stare at the belt and not know what to do? Have to look.
You have to have that.
Look up to the sky for answers.
But I did like the scene a lot because, you know, number one, it's Cody, you know, who has to like grab the belt in the first place to give it to Punk. And this belt is his baby. Not only is he handing his baby to somebody else, he's being flicked in the face with it by that person. So I really like the sort of like, you know, like storytelling they did just even in something like that. So that was nice.
Did you catch this? We got Justin Jefferson of the Minnesota Vikings promoting SummerSlam, and I'm watching this and I'm thinking, okay, it's like, you know, the NFL player, he's plugging SummerSlam, he'll be a guest at SummerSlam, and then he slowly builds up to announce that he's got a code, and if you go for a limited time and insert my code JJets, you can get tickets starting at $25 for a limited time. So, folks, Mark Shapiro, probably with tears in his eyes, has had to bring out the machete and start slashing prices. Limited time, $25, because, folks, we are stuck at $22,000 per night and ain't nothing moving these tickets. So this is their we did the what was the last sale they recently did? The 25% off one. This is our latest sale.
Sort of, America
they did
anniversary. Was that it? That was the 25%. Yeah.
Yes. This one less patriotic. This is just, folks, fill this fucking stadium up. We got to get going. We got 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Jay Jets. I wonder, they didn't say until when. It was just limited time. My thought is this code will be right up until bell time. This code will probably get you in, if not for even less. Wait till the day of.
All time is technically limited. So
yes. Then we had another video on New York sports stars. Everyone from Babe Ruth, Reggie Jackson, Mark Messier, Ollie Frazier, Bruno, Hogan, and now we add Jalen Brunson to that list of legends, and they dub him the King of New York. And so Brunson gets, like, honestly, this is like an introduction that few ever, this was like a WrestleMania entrance this guy got, emerging from the Knicks locker room, walking through the back. We've got every single WWE personnel up on their feet, cheering him on. And he just so happens to run into Roman Reigns right at the gorilla position. And they come out to Roman's theme. They're chanting for both of them. This entrance went on forever. And he calls New York the home of WWE. In that 53 years, it's been too long between championships. There's only one tribal chief and there's only one captain. And then Roman Reigns digs in deep and he pulls out a custom championship belt for Jalen Brunson. Why do I feel that you, the fan at home, will have an opportunity to get your own Jalen Brunson custom belt as well?
I don't know. I don't know why you would think that.
They raised their belts together, stating, to acknowledge us, and then Seth Rollins' music plays. But instead of Seth Rollins, Tyrese Halliburton comes out. I thought that was a great, clever swerve that they did here. He comes out, and the crowd boos him, and it's a distraction for Seth to jump Roman from behind, and Brunson, he can't do anything physically here, so he's just got to stand here and watch as Rollins super kicks him.
That's him to still hold on to his championship belt, though.
Well, this thing was probably one of one. It's like, I'm not just throwing this down. Someone might steal it. So Seth eventually goes for the stomp, and now Jalen Brunson stands in his way, and the crowd starts chanting MVP, and he says, "This is my house." And allows Roman to recover, hitting Seth with the Superman punch and a spear. And dude, Tyrese Halliburton also physically ineligible here from this angle, just has to stand here and he helps his buddy out of the ring.
I wonder what the insurance sort of like rules mandate for like.
Dude, it's why I was surprised enough that they had the choke slams earlier on, but I guess they deemed that was the only physicality we were going to see. Like these athletes, they do not want them doing physical shit at this stage of the game. And so Rollins was booked like the complete heel in all of this, like the cowardly heel that jumps Roman from behind. And then it finishes with the Larry O'Brien trophy being brought to the ring. Roman holds up the Larry O'Brien trophy as Brunson holds up Roman's title. It's just, they literally do like a postcard at the end, the image of the two holding up both of these. I'm sure this is just going to be plastered on shit for you to buy as well. I can imagine a lot of people just groaning at all of this, but in terms of just crafting a segment of making your Roman Reigns look like the biggest star in the world next to Jalen Brunson, I mean, they just went all out here. And oh, look at this. Hey guys, let's not forget about me here. I'll be right in the middle.
I got to take advantage.
So, did this move any interest for Rollins and Reigns? That I cannot say, but they wanted to create a segment that is hopefully going to be circulated online everywhere and get 50 trillion hundred views by Monday to promote and get a bunch of ESPN coverage. And if there's an interest beyond that for Reigns and Rollins, then great.
If that is the measure of success for this professional wrestling show, then yeah, I would say they achieved it.
It is.
Like,
It could be the most social clip of the weekend.
Listen,
more than the World Cup.
If you simply want to measure professional wrestling success by how loud a crowd reacts, they were successful there too, because this was an audience that loved all of this. They reacted, certainly the biggest to this of anything on the show. So you could say that this was a worthwhile, main event for this professional.
In another
wrestling
era,
show.
this would have been Joe Carter.
I don't think they would ever pay that level of attention to Toronto. Maybe it was Doug Gilmour, all right? Maybe it was the Leafs in '93. Right?
Doug Gilmour. Yeah.
So it was really...
Wait a minute, that's Dave Andrechuk.
Yeah. So I think, yeah, sure, by those metrics, yeah. But I also, for me, not being a New Yorker and maybe not being as swept up, by that sort of, Knicks sort of fever, I was more so really just trying to watch this as a bit more of a wrestling show. And I don't know, it's so icky to me, just to kind of, see this sort of TKO machine in action with, their sort of constant want of celebrity and these photo ops.
You know what this last 20 minutes was? This was Fanatics Fest.
Yeah.
On a wrestling show. That's what this was. It was cool collaboration of mixing up these super rich athletes for the fans to just take their photos and see something cool for an intimate audience, as intimate as 13,000 can be. And
again, there's the argument that this has always been in the DNA of WWE and its success, and starting from this very building, right? And maybe I just can't get that mad at it knowing what I'm watching, but it to me, there seems to be very little sort of artistic craft in any of it, and silly me for expecting that, in the body of the sort of this fictitious drama. But it just felt like it was all designed for the photo and really not much else.
I think this is a show that I think if you were a New Yorker at this show, you probably had a hell of a time at this show, as long as you were past the sticker shock of whatever you paid for a ticket here. To the fan at home, I think it's really going to be based on your desire to see a crossover with the Knicks, which was the main focus of this show. I think you got a good tag match, but beyond that, I would say this is kind of the higher level of what we're going to get on a Saturday night's main event, because I don't think typically we're going to take the Knicks out of this. I can't say there was a whole lot to this show without that involvement beyond a stipulation for the tag match. These are closer to TV shows than they are to a special event.
Yeah. Again, this one being a bit of an exception because you had all the stars appear on this one. But yeah. By the way, when are we going to get our first John Cena Classic opening round?
You know what is funny is when I was thinking about it, I'm surprised they didn't make that Chicago show the John Cena Classic. Worlds Collide is kind of what the John Cena Classic was described to be. WWE main roster talent taking on NXT talent or even AAA talent that you could work in. I'm surprised they don't market, because Worlds Collide is not a brand for fans to be get excited about. But if you announce the first John Cena Classic in Chicago, I'm kind of surprised they didn't roll that out as the counter to All Out.
Yeah.
And you promote a Cena appearance on that show.
Certainly. Maybe a little bit more clarity about when to expect that, I think, would be appropriate. They made such a big deal out of the announcement. Maybe I could see them saving it for December, which is when Cena had his farewell Saturday night's main event, which had sort of a similar concept, prior to maybe a January call up of a lot of the NXT talents, perhaps. But yeah, they've been so shrouding this in mystery, and it just, to me, communicates that I wonder if they really even know what any of this is. Because Cena, I think at last public mention of it was
he
still
said we're working on the details.
Right,
it was left as a work in progress.
Right.
Any other final thoughts on the show before we go to feedback? Do you think that this did any?
It delivered on the star power that you would expect out of an MSG special with the WWE.
How about SummerSlam? If the goal was to kind of promote some of these, mainly the title matches, did it do much of an effective job in those regards?
Like, I think with Punk and Cody, like, again, I thought they would sort of like ramp things up a lot more between the two of them, but they seem to be taking their time, which I wouldn't necessarily like hate. So I think it at least moves it along, not necessarily like a pivotal chapter or anything, but it moves the storyline along. With Reigns and Rollins, the only sort of benefit is that more people know about the match now, which you can argue is very valuable. But as far as like the story, no, not really at all.
All right, we're going to go to forum.postwrestling.com where you can always leave your feedback. We are live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday after Raw, Dynamite, and SmackDown, among our plethora of shows. A ton of them coming out recently. But let's start off here. Jesse from Queens. Hey, guys, I usually hate the use of celebrities like Lil Yachty, who was not out with Trick tonight, by the way. But as a Knicks fan, I can't hate the Knicks integration. Heck, I wish there was more. I wonder if that belt is already for sale on Shop WWE. Oh, don't you worry, Jesse. Gotta love how Brunson was ready to fight with a cast on one hand and a championship in the other. Seriously, he would not put that thing down. Still love that segment. Overall, this was a mid-level show, but the crowd was really hot and enhanced the product. I agree with your sentiment that the Aldis-Gunther match feels like a step down for Gunther, but so far I like the build. I doubt they'll bring up his NWA run, but Aldis really did well as the face of that company, and I do think he can step up into this role, but he should not win. I don't see Aldis winning that match, but...
Yeah, I don't either. So I don't currently see the one Brunson was holding, but there is like their own sort of Knicks championship belt that they like with a custom design that's been up there for like every team basically. So maybe it was a one of one.
We can only hope that they are mass produced for everybody.
Yeah, of course. O'Donnell says this show sports entertained me. I understand this might not have been everybody's cup of tea, but the crowd was going insane for it. And how many times can you have the Finals MVP's first appearance at his home arena on your show? I guess I guess that's a big.
I mean, there's been no basketball
deal, right?
since the finals. So
yeah, okay,
yes.
The Knicks stuff I thought really worked and made sense, and rare time WWE capitalizes on something that isn't past its 15 minutes of fame. What I really loved about the show was the tag match. That worked unlike any WWE tag match I've seen recently with the speed and pace. And for some reason, Punk and Sami decided that they would just throw haymakers at each other whenever they were near one another, regardless of what was going on in the match. I thought it made the match feel real with intensity. And as Sir Neil Flanagan said last night, I just want to see what Aldis and Gunther looks like in the ring. I'm intrigued.
Then we go to Slim Sieber here. Outside of the main event segment, I really enjoyed this. This show was easy to watch. With Paige and Brie dropping the belts, I imagine Nikki's return is imminent and the Bella's turn on Paige shortly thereafter.
Yeah.
Well, then we would have an entire division of heel teams.
Yeah, unless like it would be Paige teaming up with somebody else. I guess.
Tatum.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sure.
Give me more evil Lyra. I absolutely love the new character she has. My only qualm is that I think she can be a tad more aggressive in the match itself, but outside of that, the presentation tonight was perfect. Also, RIP to the original New York Bird Lady, Brenda Fricker from Home Alone 2, who passed away 2 days ago. The tag match was awesome with Aldis and Gunther seeming to be a lock for SummerSlam. I imagine Sami gets involved there as well, since Aldis screwed him too. What if Sami becomes the interim general manager of SmackDown?
I think he would somehow do really well in the role, but I also don't want to see that for him.
And finally, we are getting a bit of tension between Cody and Punk. The buddy-buddy thing isn't doing it for me. But that final segment just did not work if you're not from New York. From a super long entrance to a super long speech from Roman verbally jerking off Jalen Brunson, I was bored out of my skull. They should have kept the Knicks stuff to the Danhausen match, which came off way more entertaining. And to top it off, Seth came off like such a chump in that segment. I'm not excited for their SummerSlam match at all.
I would say the main event segment felt more like a segment you would see on like Jimmy Kimmel, like involving WWE wrestlers, than something like of the show like typically, like it was the type of segment created for people who may have not watched WWE in a while, where you're not like, you don't care about Seth Rollins' heel or babyface sort of dynamics. You don't really care about their history as Shield tag partners or anything. You just want to know, oh, this guy's the good guy, this guy's the bad guy tonight.
What if at the end of it, just for the live crowd, maybe Roman says, and now it's time to acknowledge the greatest Nick Khan.
Yeah, I'm sure he had his photo ops as well.
I'm sure he was all over Fanatics Fest this week. Mm-hmm. Okay, everyone. Well, there you go. Saturday night's main event is in the books. We are going to be back.
You're going to be back tomorrow.
Oh, I'm going to be back tomorrow. Yes. We had G1 today. Did you see any G1 today?
No, I'm not.
If you make a point to watch it, Oscar is on commentary.
Oh, okay.
Early front runner for.
Did you predict it?
Oscar?
Yeah, you predicted somebody joining commentary from the roster.
Maybe I did.
Wow.
He was very entertaining, is all I'm going to say. I mean,
cool.
Very, very enjoyable on commentary. So that is what you have to look forward to. I'll be back with Karen Sunday afternoon. We're going to go over today's show and Sunday's matches as well. So going through all of that. Collision Course is on the air as we speak. So you can catch that going over tonight's edition of Collision. Sunday night, also the NWA podcast and a ton of stuff that we dropped over the past week from our reviews of Dark Side of the Ring so far, covering Jeff Jarrett and the battle for TNA. Rewind Away, covering WrestleMania 21. Rewind to SmackDown. Tons of stuff up on the site right now. The history of TNA.
Yeah. The chaotic history of TNA.
The chaotic history of TNA.
That in there. Yeah, great job by John on that piece, which you can find over on our YouTube channel or downloadable MP3 for all Post Wrestling Cafe members. Or you can read it, of course.
And then I will be joining Way Monday night after Raw. So in the meantime, you can support us. PostWrestlingCafe.com. That is where we put up all of our bonus shows. Like, subscribe to the channel, and Way, anything else to impart on our viewers as they set off into the night?
Take any walks lately? How have you been enjoying the weather here locally?
Do I disclose that I'm battling this cough?
There you go.
So I might be diseased. Okay, so the fires might bring John Pollock down. But that is it for us. Good night, and we'll speak with you tomorrow.